want to forfeit?
Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Buongiorno, Bianconeri. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. It is another Juventus match day, and we've got the mighty Spezia. All right, and we're going to be on the road, looking to be road warriors and get the job done. All right, I'm going to say what's up. First off, of course, Joey Cap returning to the fold. Been a while. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Al. How you doing, man?
I'm always doing good, brother. Always doing good. And then we got Omer. Omer, how are you doing, my friend?
Great, phenomenal.
He wants a bigger entrance.
Yeah,
Omar,
I want my own intro to when I come on.
okay, we'll have to find a song. We'll have to find like a. You know what I'll do? I'll keep you guys in the green room. I'll let you all pick entrance music, and then we'll do it that way.
Okay? Oh, I can tell you right now what's my entrance music.
We'll make it like AJC / WWE. And
W-
you guys can have entrances.
that's exactly
we'll
what I
get
was thinking.
pyrotechnics, whatever.
Yeah, I got a smoke machine right here. Let's do it. Dry ice.
There you go. There you go. We're going to say what's up to everybody in live chat. Michael Razzo, ciao, AGC and Juventini. We will win today. Forza Juve. Absolutely. Bob Yogasel, Forza Juve. Ciao, AJC. Apex, ciao, Juventini. Everybody getting ready here. Oh, here's Scanga wasting no time throwing them in here. What the hell is the holdup? Must be Joe. All right. Take it easy. Take it easy. Now, let's get to the news is pretty light, everybody. So on game day today, the news is pretty light, but we had the birthday yesterday of the one and only Roberto Baggio. All right. So, man, there's nothing anybody can really that's left to say about Roberto Baggio, but my God, for anybody who has not ever just watched a game with this guy playing in it, go to footballia.net and watch a game. Okay, I'm telling you, hit the site, go to the archive games, and just sit back and enjoy. Every time the guy touched the ball, you had absolutely no idea what was going to happen because he was that good. And there's highlight reel goals put out all over on social media and stuff, but this guy was incredible. I'm going to start off with you guys and your thoughts, Roberto Baggio, some memories maybe, and then we'll get to a little story that I have about Roberto Baggio involved. And this was told to me this past weekend, and it blew me away. But we'll get you guys first. Joey Cap, Roberto Baggio.
I mean, he was just before like my time becoming a Juventino, so I don't have any specific memories of him, but I watched all of his highlights, everything that I could have. And honestly, just such an amazing player. It's crazy to think that he dragged that Italia team all the way to the final, and then that happened. Like, that would have just cemented his legacy. But now he's just known for, like, that little pose at the end. But there's one thing that I remember distinctly about Roby Baggio, and that was that there's a picture of him that was taken in the United States in my hometown, and I still have it.
Nice.
I'll post it. I'll post it again at some point. But yeah, he was a conundrum too. He was a Buddhist, but there are pictures of him going hunting and stuff like that. So he was
big hunter.
He was just
big
a really
hunter.
Big hunter. And he was just like a regular human being, is what a lot of people said. Even though he had like these godly football abilities, he was very approachable and just a really nice guy. So, yep, happy birthday, Roby.
Yeah. Omar, Roby Baggio.
Yeah, so I'm like Joe. I was born in '89, so when he was at Juve, like I didn't even watch football then. I was like 5 when the '94 World Cup came around. You couldn't have not known him. We had guys around walking with like a small ponytail coming to the football field, even later on. But I'll take it. I'll take the overlook on football, and I think that '94 World Cup with Baggio is like it sort of signified our time of football, like football up until that point, and from that point onwards. And Robbie Baggio was just right in the middle of that, and then started a new generation of Zidane and Ronaldo and all the guys that we grew up on. But up until that point, maybe besides from Maradona, from what I've seen from past games and just highlight reels and stuff, man, he was a guy that was undeniable. No one could say anything about him, about his style of play. It was just phenomenal to watch, and I still enjoy it to this day, just
Yeah.
watching. And he's just signified a very specific time in football and a very new shift in the football world for me, from what
Yeah.
I researched about him.
It was incredible. I look at this comment from the Juve
We're dating
barber.
ourselves.
So the Juve barber Baggio had it all. Roberta had more Grinta juice in his nutsack than most of these high price players today. Love that comment. The Juve barber, this guy is great. I see you what you're doing, my friend. I see the content out there that you're putting out. I want you to drop the address of your barber shop here in the chat so that people that are close to you can come out there and visit you, get their hair done. And I see the TV always having football on, and what better way to enjoy a fresh cut and fade or whatever and chat Juventus with the Juve barber. So drop it in here and we'll start showing some love, and hopefully some of these viewers are close by. I'm going to share a story I just heard a couple nights ago about Roberto Baggio, and it blew me away. Thank you, John, by the way, who shared the story whenever. But so this was told to me by John. It was a close friend of his that had made friends with a gentleman. Yes, this gentleman's last name was Baggio. And they talked about football. They talked about football all the time, whatever. He never thought anything of it or whatnot. 4 years, these two were friends, okay? Before finally the other guy says, I'm Roberto Baggio's brother, right? And he says, not a chance. Not a chance. He goes, yeah. Then now it must be said they made friends online, of course, okay? Through a Juve, like just chat group, football group, whatever. And this guy's a Juventino. He goes, yeah, I am. Starts sending him pictures, all these pictures of him and Robbie. And he's just like, no friggin' way, right? So, anyways, this guy ends up getting married, and him and his wife are trying to figure out like what they're gonna do, whatever. And he happens to be chatting online about this with this guy that he's made friends with now. He goes, "Come to Vicenza, ask your wife and see if she's cool. Come to Vicenza." So he goes, "Okay, I'll ask her, whatever." He says, "Yeah." He goes, "She's into it, whatever. We'll come by, and see if we're bitten. Then we'll just carry on in Italy, whatever." He goes, "Okay, no problem." So he goes there, him and his wife. The guy shows up with Roberto Baggio to pick him up at the airport. Okay. Roberto Baggio's there at the airport picking this guy and his wife up. It doesn't even end there. Okay. It doesn't even end there.
Wow.
They go and stay at Roberto's house for a week. This guy's
Shut
waking
up.
up in the morning.
No.
Robbie
fucking way.
Baggio is making him a friggin' espresso. I'm like, what?
I would have been shoot me now. Shoot me right now. I'll die a happy man.
Robbie Baggio said, hey, the Derby d'Italia's on. And there's a picture of them sitting on the couch together watching the Derby d'Italia next to Robbie Baggio. I'm like, are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Anyways, they said top class guy, and he's absolutely like incredible as a human. And they said the hospitality was like second to none. The women took care of his wife and stuff, and Robbie took him out hunting a bunch of times. Like
That's awesome.
bought all this gear for him so that he could take him hunting with him, and he took him on. But he said top notch. That story blew me away. Anyways,
Yeah,
cool
crazy.
Robbie Baggio story. I thank John for sharing that with me. It blew me away, and I couldn't even imagine sitting there and Robbie Baggio's making me a friggin' espresso next, let alone sitting there talking football with him during the Derby d'Italia. You'd be almost scared to share your opinions because this guy is Roberto friggin' Baggio. But anyways, cool story. Cool story. Now, let's get to some of the news. And again, it's light on the news, but coming into this game, Bonucci is on team list, not slated to start, obviously, too soon. We know Bremer suspended. That should put Rugani in there. But in terms of other things with the news, it seems to be all the same. Nothing crazy. Perin got over his flu. Expect him to be between the pipes there. Pogba, still unknown. And I want to ask you guys, if not for the media, would you be as frustrated? Like, it's a piss off, but the fact of the matter is the media has zero idea on injuries and time frames and when these guys are coming back, but they continue to put this. Pogba is it wasn't even spoken about yesterday by Max, yet they still make sure they put the headline in there, Pogba unknown. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is like, yeah, it's unknown to you guys. Max said it 3 weeks ago that he's day to day, and they just got to wait and see because some days are a little bit bad. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? Is it just the media that's adding to it, adding extra fuel for everyone to kind of turn on Paul here?
Oh yeah, if there's something the media does great is pour more fuel into the fire. No matter how big the fire is, we can all remember what happened when Juve got the sentence, and then suddenly everything started popping up. And you can't tell even if it's credible in any way or not. They're just looking to make headlines, and they specifically go after the days like today where there's no news. So that's a big day to drop something that will get viewers. And gotta remember, that's the way they make money. Clicks, likes, shares, they that's what they're looking for. That's what media has always been about. It's nothing new. And in Italy, it's even been kicked into overdrive, and they just do it every season, every year. We're just the one feeling it now because we're having a bad time ourselves, Juve. So we're feeling it, but it has been going on for ages. I mean, Milan have suffered it for a decade now, with just horrible news after another. And Pogba is no different. Got injured, no time frame. Even Max said a week ago, maybe 20 days. I don't know. Maybe is an important word here. And trust the media to do that all the time and take it with a grain of salt. We put it out there because you deserve to know it and to read it.
Yeah.
But always take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that we've seen it. We've seen it now with Giovanni Andreni, that he has drastically slowed down getting players back in to the lineup for Juventus.
Yes.
So I don't know. For me, I think about it more like that. But Joe, your thoughts on the whole thing and how media gets involved in these injury things where they surely can't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have my own thoughts and opinions on the whole Pogba situation. But the guy is automatically a target for earning so much money and not having played.
Yes.
So, obviously the media is going to go after that and make that a headline, So like Pogba still not playing, obviously is going to be talked about. And you're right. The sort of the absence of talking about Pogba, they try and nitpick that story too. So like Omer said, they're going to go after anything, even if you don't say anything. The lack of saying something is something to them. So it's just this. It's nothing new. They will always put a spin on something, and Italy is the land of drama. There's just there's no way around it. So they will always cause drama where there is none. That's just how it goes.
Yes. It's also been the case in England with Pogba specifically. They always went after him and follow his injuries. And just because you hear about it day in, day out, it feels exaggerated. That's been going on forever. But we don't know anything.
Let's put it this way. So Chiesa is out for this one today after playing a few games because being cautious. and tired feeling of the muscles in there. If that were Pogba, I feel like it would blow up well beyond. It's been crickets over this thing with Chiesa and him having to come out after what, 3 games?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Three straight games.
You can't tell me it would be the same. Like, it's something I've noticed. And yeah, the media just really feeling things. Now, this killed me yesterday in the press conference. Max Allegri with his grandson, and the grandson's note saying no more 1-0. That was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But I did bring it up in the daily update video, guys, and I want to get your thoughts before we dive into the actual matchup that we're going to see today between Spezia and Juve. And this is essentially, is Max starting to crack? Is he breaking? Because as he continues to, now he's almost switched. You used to see this Max Allegri that would joke, and rather than get into arguments almost and back and forth, he would crack jokes and he would kind of leave it at that and almost brush it aside. However, now all of a sudden he starts talking about numbers. All of a sudden he's talking about, my teams have always been amongst some of the top scoring teams as far as goals scored. Well, guess what, Max? Last year you weren't. This year you're definitely not on pace. But he's going back to that. And then all of a sudden he continues to defend himself yesterday, saying, it's you that say I want 1-0 victories. He goes, I would love to be winning 3-0, and he's like, I know that we have to work on scoring goals and whatnot, but historically my teams are always amongst that. So you guys talk all this bullshit, he says. And do you guys think he's fine? Because this has been a season where if there was ever a season that even the most experienced coaches could crack, this could potentially be it. Do you think it's starting to climb and escalate for Max?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I mean, can you blame him? I'm kind of shocked he made it all the way up until now without breaking up. I mean, imagine your standard Italian manager, even top tier managers. I mean, Inzaghi had 2 injuries and he started crying and making excuses. Allegri held his own for quite a while. Imagine any other manager in Italy in that situation, assuming they didn't just, left the office and said, screw you, we're out. We don't want to deal with it. I mean, it was coming. He was bound to break at some point because I mean, I'm part of that too, but he gets a lot of shit from everywhere, even from his own grandson. I mean, if you need something to break you, that's the perfect scenario. Any man has his breaking point. I mean, can't expect him to be perfect all the time. And add to that the fact that he is frustrated and he didn't want to finish in a tie with Nantes. I mean, he didn't want to draw Atalanta. I get why he's cracking up, and that's fine, I think. I don't think he's that bad.
Yeah. Joe, your thoughts on Max and if he's starting to cave?
I mean, I think, like Omer said, I think anybody would be cracking under the pressure. I mean, the guy has the entire league against him. Like what other manager has to deal with, a 15-point deduction in the middle of the season and, injuries, all this stuff. And he's the one guy who is trying to steer the ship, So, of course, he's going to be feeling the pressure. But also, I give Max plenty of garbage, because of his play style and what have you. But I respect him. He's trying his absolute best, but sometimes it's just like it's not there. And we blame Max a lot of the time. I think because one, it's easy. But players obviously share a responsibility in all this. So I'm sure he feels frustrated on a number of fronts. He feels frustrated with, the Juventus management. I'm sure to some degree he's frustrated with the players, the injuries and things like that, and the league. So, like, yeah, it's understandable why the guy would be cracking.
Yeah, and he has people in the media that go after him specifically all the time. This
all the
Tiliani
time.
guy, Antonio Cassano. I mean, it's kind of a world record, the fact that he hasn't cracked up until now. It's been going on forever. He
Right.
kept his nerves in check like for a really long time. That's world record standard for patience, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I think I definitely have respect for him in terms of what he's had to endure here this season. This is not a normal season for any football club. What he's had to go through. But in the same token, some of these criticisms he has brought on himself, especially if you start to look at the lineups and what he's done and when those young guys answered the call. But then the second, and I called that shit at the time. I said, watch the second McKennie gets fit again. He forgets about the young guy that fucking overpassed him, that surpassed him in performances and helped us. And he did that.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about McKennie coming in as a right back player because it was before that when he had the big game. He threw McKennie in the midfield, even though Fajoli gave him so many more reasons to play him above him. And it's those things that still have me feeling this feeling about Max that I stick by this. I've said this since he returned. If he doesn't get out of his friggin' comfort zone, okay, and if it takes a note from his friggin' grandson, thank you to his grandson, because he has got to get out of this old school, like, safe approach. He's got to get out of it. And this team cannot continue like that. I know that if you look at the Nance game, we only got hit once on one counter, whatnot. But if Max, and you only got hit on
That's
that
all it
one
takes.
counter, whatever. But still, that's where you can actually lose it on players, because we highlighted that one counter and the calamity of errors, okay, that took place for that goal to go down against him. But it doesn't mean that should be the reason why, okay, no, you know what? We do have to play safe. No, because you need goals. Ultimately, you need goals. Okay, your team needs to find a way to be scoring multiple goals a game. The safe approach might clamp things down, but it's still not giving you enough to go beyond and find those results. Omer, you had some stats about goals scored, and you sent it to me in a message. And maybe you want to bring that up, and we could kind of fuel that this discussion about Max and his team. But I wholeheartedly believe this team doesn't take any next steps until Max actually just unleashes and has them go for it.
Okay, so what's basically saying is that out of all the games Juve conceded goals, they only managed to win twice. One against Maccabi Haifa in the Champions League and one against Monza in the Cup, not in the league. And that was by conceding one goal. We lost all games except for Salernitana when we conceded 2 goals, and we lost all games when we conceded 3, except for Atalanta. I mean, when this team concedes, it just doesn't know how to come back.
Yeah.
That's clear as day. And I feel like Max, everything we said about him, it's not to say that he's done a fantastic job in the media is just after it. He hasn't done a fantastic job by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to managing the team.
Yeah.
But that's an alarming stat. I mean, you are going to concede. This is football. Teams will try to score and will score. You're not the best team in the league. You don't have the best roster in the league. You need to know either how to kill games or how to come back when you do concede. I mean, that's basic. That's the most basic thing ever.
To only get
Concede
2
and
wins
score.
when you conceded 1 goal out of 6 games, and they were only to Monza and Maccabi, is actually pretty alarming.
Super alarming.
And it's funny to think about that. This is also the same coach, granted, different team entirely, but this is the same coach that almost knocked out Real Madrid, in that comeback victory by just absolutely going for it. We all know the game that I'm talking about, with Mandzukic and Matuidi and that team. I forget exactly which season that was, but it ended with the infamous Benatia, non-penalty.
17, 18. 17,
Yeah,
18.
thank you. But going back to like both of those points, the thing that just kills me is that this team looks so lost in the final third of the pitch. There's no plan when it comes to actually scoring goals, aside from passing it out wide, maybe Kostic or whoever's on the wing crossing in the middle.
That's assuming one of them joined the attack. Even in the Nantes game, I've seen so many instances where Di Maria has the ball in the middle, and Vlahovic is starting to make a run, and it's never to the left or to the right. It's just central, right in front of Di Maria. So no options to pass, and that's on the manager. I mean, yeah, Vlahovic can do better. Maybe if Milik was there, he would have pulled to the left or to the right. But when you see that happening, because I've seen it happen, I don't know, 4, maybe 3 times in that specific match, take Vlahovic aside, tell him when we go on a counter and someone has the ball in the middle, you run there or you run there. That's managing attacking scenarios. And we've talked about it hundreds of times on this podcast that we don't have any attacking patterns, and players don't know what to do when we have the ball past the halfway line.
Yep. And they look lost. There's no plan. There is no plan.
Yeah, and if not being able to win when you concede doesn't alarm you, then you have a big, big problem on your hand, because you are going to concede a lot in football all the time.
Yeah, and again, it's just that same question. Is Max going to change? Is he going to finally start to change? I don't know, but today, obviously, Chiesa's out. We're not going to see the trident. It's being reported we're going to go back to that 3-5-2 setup. I'm fine with, and I even asked the question during seeing the trident and everything, and that maybe, just maybe, against Nantes, I was taken back by his setup, because I thought maybe you just go with what you know and keep one of those guys on the bench to go against tired legs, split up Di Maria and Chiesa, whatnot. But I don't know. I just don't know with this team. I do still see, and I gave Max the benefit of the doubt against Nantes, because I still see way too many execution errors from our players, and passes that at that level, I expect those guys to hit. Hell, at Sunday League level, I expect some of these guys to hit those passes. So, yeah, and it just hasn't amounted to anything. And the guys, this is a collective effort, everybody. So while Max definitely has some criticisms heading his way, so do our players. And they got to pick it up. I mean, you get a counterattack goal like that against you in Europe, when there's at least 2 opportunities in there for a professional foul, which there was, one for Paredes and one for Danilo, and both of them missed the mark and weren't even close. And Bremer slipped. That sucked. But that goal should not be happening. That should not be happening.
No, it's a calamity of mistakes that just followed one another, and it happens.
And it all started with a bad decision again on the flank with, unfortunately, Fagioli at the top of the right corner for Juve at the top of the area there. You got to know, you got to realize where your players are and what has to happen. The second he takes that step inside, I say he's got nowhere to go. He's dead to rights. I don't know for the life of me why he wouldn't have cut back. He's got great ability. He was twisting and turning every time he was on the ball in the middle. That would have been the time to twist and turn, go back to the outside. We had numbers forward in the area. They were all looking for the cross. He goes in, puts a brutal pass to Paredes, and Paredes wants to slide challenge everybody and their mothers.
But the one time.
Yeah, like just run next to him, man. Get some heart. Anyways.
I have yet to see him sprint for Juve.
What's that?
I have yet to see him sprint for Juve.
Oh,
I mean, the guy doesn't sprint.
He doesn't.
How can you?
He walks.
Can you when you're a central midfielder, I mean, how can you not sprint? That's what's expected of you
No,
from every
there was
player on the
one
pitch.
game where I think it would might have been Chiesa blew absolutely right by. Maybe it wasn't Chiesa. Somebody blew
No,
right
no, it was
by him.
Chiesa.
Was it
It was
Chiesa?
Chiesa.
Just left him in the dust trying to come back to take away an odd man rush, and it's just like
And he
shit
was the
like
one who
that.
lost the ball.
It's the shit like that that I can't deal with, and I don't care who the hell the player is, but that's just unacceptable. But nonetheless, Spezia today, the mighty Spezia, okay? And we should see Locatelli in, so thankful for that. Now, Spezia, let's talk about betting odds for those of you who want to put a little chicoria, as Anthony likes to say, on this game. Spezia to win pays 5.5 times your money. Don't take that bet. Draw is just shy of 4 times your money for a draw, and then Juve winning about 1.5 times your money. Okay, we've got Spezia, of course, would love to be trading places. While we talk about our frustrations and everything and what's going on, Spezia would love to trade places with us every day of the week. Okay, their battle for survival looks pretty grim each round, despite returning to the score sheet in Empoli, okay, and putting 2 goals in, because before that they were 3 games without a goal. Spezia, they still squandered a 2-0 halftime lead to Empoli and ended up drawing that. That saw their coach get fired. So today it's actually an interim coach for Spezia. That could maybe sometimes create a little stimulus for Spezia. I'm not banking on it, okay? But Omer says yes.
There's always like a perk,
Yeah,
even
there's
if
always
for a
that
short
little bit of
while when you switch managers.
Yeah, a little boost.
Yeah, that
even
little
if
pick
for
me up.
one
As the
game.
Juve barber likes to say, that little bit of extra grinta juice in the nut sack, okay? But
It's finite for sure.
whether it amounts to anything for him, we see. But this is the thing with Spezia, is that it's not just, a lack of scoring, whatnot, and it's not just coaching change or whatever. They are actually pretty depleted in terms of the players on their roster and what's going on. So Zoet is out, Moutinho's out, Salah's out, Bastoni's out, Kovalenko's out, and Zurkowski. They lost midfielder Esposito. He serves a suspension, and their top scorer with 9 goals is potentially out of this one as well. And Zola, he could be coming into the game later on in some later minutes, but that's just adding more to him. And it has to be noted that they lost, and their back line is desperately missing Jacob Kiwior when he left for Arsenal. Okay, so Spezia had a slew of things going on. This absolutely has to be 3 points for Juventus. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't want to hear otherwise. Do we agree?
Yep. 100%.
100%. Has to be a win every match.
It needs to be and I want a statement win.
The stuff that's going on with Spezia, the lineup they're going to have, and I mean, sure, you'll still see a couple names in there that are that can be effective and whatnot. They are going to be mirroring us to a sense where it's 3-5-2, okay? But let's be serious. This team, Spezia, does not score a lot of goals, and their back line is very, very makeshift, okay? Very, very makeshift. Juve needs to capitalize. I don't care who's out there for the pitch for us. They need to get the job done. At the end of the day, no matter what a coach does, what a coach outlays, everything, it comes down to these guys winning the battles from the men across from them. And today, this has got to be a heavy, heavy advantage for Juventus. I don't care where we play. It doesn't have to be a home game, all this away game thing, all these things that we get fed in these press conferences and everything. This needs to be a win, and it needs to be relatively routine. Will it happen? Yeah. Well, that's where we get into our feelings and everything going into. But their probable lineup, so everybody knows, is obviously 3-5-2, Drakowski, Amian, Caldara, Nicolau, Home, Burabia, and Ethan Ampadu in there, Agudelo, Reka, Giassi, and Shomarudov. So, guys, Juve, we know where we stand. We're coming off 1-1 against Nantes. Europa League still to be decided. You said, Joe, this has to be convincing. Okay. And is that for this team to be able to cross that finish line in France?
Absolutely, yeah. Get the juices flowing again. Get the mojo back, especially for Dusan trying to get him some goals, get the feeling again. I think that'll help the team a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Omer?
Yeah, so first of all, Holm, I think they reported he's out. He won't be there, which is
even home now.
Yeah, I think it's the first time we face a team this season that has more absentees than us.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Interesting. Home, I'm actually kind of bummed he won't play because you have been tracking him since the summer. So I wanted to see him in action. I didn't get to see him a lot this season, but he will be out. But I gotta say, I ran out on optimism juice for this season. I mean, every game is a landmine. Every game can go south. That's the feeling I got from the stats I just gave you earlier.
So, in kind of talking about that, so before we faced Nantes, we kind of made a little bit of a comment and said, watch out for this game to be a banana peel. Watch for this game to be a banana peel, because we were also expecting a win at home in Casa against Nantes in Europa League. The fact that we didn't get that victory and the way that game went, I actually no longer think this is going to be a banana peel game for Juve. And I actually do feel pretty strong that we're going to get the job done and get it right today because of the fact that game ended in a 1-1. What do you guys think about that, Omer?
I really hope so. I mean, like Joe said, we need a statement win here. Just for the guys to go into Thursday with something, to feel good about. A loss here could have serious ramifications on Thursday game against Nantes. We absolutely have to win this game, and if they can, minimum of 3 goals for you.
Yeah. Raza wasted no time with his prediction. We will win today at least 2-0. Okay. We're not at predictions just yet. Okay, we'll get some key stats in here, and then I want to get who everybody thinks the key player is going to be or player to watch. All right, so this could be Juve's third straight in Serie A. Okay, Juve has a good recent record with Spezia, winning their last 5 matches against Spezia in all competitions. Only Sampdoria and Cremonese have scored fewer goals than Spezia at 19 goals so far. Okay. And again, top score for them out. Spezia has failed to score in last 3 home games. Another reason I don't want to hear anything about us being on the road. Okay. Spezia have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 4 Serie A matches. Juventus has won 4 out of their last 5 games on the road. And projected lineup, it's all over the place as far as, did you guys see one with Di Maria and one with Keane partnering Vlahovic? I saw both.
No.
I've seen both, yeah.
I saw both.
Just Keane.
You saw the one with Keane?
Yeah, the one that Giovanni Albanese put out is relatively reliable when it comes to lineups, probable lineups. So I'm going to go with him. I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, well, I saw a mix of the two, but we'll get to Albanese's here. Actually, no, sorry. Gazzeta's ended up having Vlahovic and Keane both up there. I'm seeing another one here again. It's Vlahovic and Keane. So yeah, again, another one, Vlahovic and Keane, Sky. So Sky, Gazzetta, and another one all having Vlahovic and Keane. Giovanni Albanese, he's got Keane and Vlahovic as well.
I think he works for Gazzetta, so they're probably mooching
I've only
off
seen
his
one
lineup.
with Di Maria up top, but outside of that, everything else seems to be the same, and it's going to be Pedin, Danilo, Rugani, Sandro, Quadrado, Locatelli, Paredes, Rabiot, Kostic, and then either Vlahovic and Keane, or I've seen Vlahovic, Di Maria. But guys, for me, immediately, that midfield's almost going to give me an aneurysm looking at it.
I
Locatelli,
want to cry.
Paredes, and Rabiot. Jeez.
I saw that lineup, and what I immediately thought is that we're going to see about 100 crosses into the area. Two central strikers, Quadrado and Kostic. No
Yep.
creative play. I mean, we can only bank on Lucatelli to make some,
Yeah.
passes through the middle. We're going to see tons of crosses in this match.
Yeah.
And
I
the
would
two strikers. And I don't like
same.
it.
The creation, so we've been using that second forward, almost like a high attacking mid, essentially, and dropping back. Now, without that and having Keane and Vlahovic, if you're going to play both of them up top, you're absolutely right. We're going to play up and down those flanks. I could probably expect Locatelli to really be pushing high up, especially with Paredes being in there. He'll probably take that role ahead of the D, and then we will be banking on Luca to do this box to box thing. And I've always said it, this guy is a 2-man pivot midfielder, but nonetheless, even with this lineup and even us not liking the midfield, we should get to prediction time, everybody. Let's get to prediction time. You got to get your final score, and you have to take 2 tiebreakers. Joey Cap, you haven't been with us for a while. Let's get
a minute
to kick it off. All right.
All right. So we're doing final score
and 2 tiebreakers of whatever the hell you want to make a prediction on. Possession, shots, red card, whatever.
So let's do final score 2-0 Juve. And my tiebreaker will be first yellow card will go to Spezia in the 20th minute.
Okay. Holy, that's early. I like it.
And the second tiebreaker, I'm guessing like first goal scored, right? That would be one of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That would be Dusan.
Dusan with the first. All right. Omer?
I wanted to go with 2-1, but after that stat I just read you, it's risky. So if we're conceding, we're not winning. That's my gamble. No, I'm gonna stick to what I said. I think Juve needs a minimum of 3 goals, so let's go with 3-0. I'm calling at least 2 Kostic assists.
Safe bet for this game.
And Juve to start the match.
And Juve to what?
Start the match. That's a 50-50 tiebreaker. It's either us or Spezia. Flip of a coin.
To start the match. Okay. I'm going to go with, I was going to call a 2-0 victory. So I'm going to stick with my 2-0 victory for Juventus. I'm going to call a Locatelli. I'm going to say Locatelli has a contribution, either assist or goal. I'm also going to say that we see an own goal. Okay. So one will be an OG. 2-0 Juve, an OG, and a Luca contribution somewhere, either goal or assist. Now, let's get to the panel. Let's see what the panel's cooking up here in the chat here. We got a 1-1. Oh, and the man not starting us off so strong there. Dell's coming in 1-0, the classic 1-0. Allegri's grandson's going to be pissed. That's okay. And Mesh, they go 2-1 Juve, Dusan, and Rabiot. Jeremiah's going to be happy with the Rabiot goal, and he marked himself for a Rabiot goal because he wants that kit, and we all want to see Lou hit pay now on that jersey. So there you go. He's got 3-1 Juve against Spezia, Dusan, Rabiot, Di Maria, 13 attempts, 5 on target. Love it. Don B coming in 1-1. Luca 1-1. Go grab a Snickers, buddy. Come on. Razzo 2-0 Juve. Dusan and Luca to score. 52-48 possession. 5 yells total. 3 times we hear Allegri yell calma. 3 times. Who's going to be on calma watch? Mike, you're going to be on your own for that one, my man. Okay. So we'll see what happens here. So predictions are in. It is time for Storm the Barn, everybody. So if you have questions, fire away, drop them in the chat here. And we have a good amount of time today to get to some of these. So we're all still predicting a win. Not necessarily the happiest with the midfield that we were seeing. But again, we've done a good job of highlighting everything going on at Spezia right now. That makeshift, especially at the back line and whatnot. Make no mistake, this should be more than enough for Juve to get across the line, and you could see it in the predictions. However, still some draw score lines out there. And again, we know that it's the inconsistency that shows why we can be a little low on confidence for Juve. So it's imperative, like Joe stated, and Omer and myself, it's imperative we have a good showing today because we got to get the job done.
You never know what Juve you're going to get in every match. Sometimes you play Atalanta and suddenly they're all out attack, pressing everywhere and stuff, and then you play like a Salernitana or even Nantes and you drop off and you don't look. I mean, every game is different in approach by Juve, and most of the times it's not the positive one that we want to see.
Yep.
But
Well
I'll ask your questions before we get some Storm the Barn here.
Yeah, let's get yours in, and then we're going to get to some of these in the chat here.
So it's, besides Robbie Baggio, it's Zambrotta's birthday today. And Zambrotta is a controversial one for some.
Yeah.
And so how do you guys feel about Zambrotta and his time at Juve?
As a player, I love the guy. As a player, like, absolutely loved him. I know what everybody goes back to in 2006 and stuff, and I've heard stories about him off the pitch, about the type of guy he is and stuff. But again, you have to take that with a grain of salt too, because these guys are real people and they have real problems just like everybody else, and you don't know what's going on in somebody's life at any given moment. So maybe when that particular story of him outside the pitch came up, it could have been one of those days. You don't know. But in terms of going back to when Juve gets relegated and stuff, I continue to hammer this point across. And for me, whether it's Cannavaro, Zambrotta, Ibrahimovic, these guys that chose to leave, for me, it's a hell of an ask to expect the players to stay when we're talking about one's career and something that they had nothing to do with whatsoever, all of a sudden changes the landscape of their actual career, right? So for me, that's really hard to sit back here, and judge somebody for making that decision. I don't actually hold anything against the ones that left. Am I disappointed that some of those guys did? Yes. But to expect it and hold it against them, I don't think is right. And I also think it takes away how special it is for the guys that did stay. And it makes what they did, because what they did was massive, especially Gianluigi Buffon, who at the time was hitting his prime and the best goalkeeper in the world, could have gone anywhere, probably could have got that Champions League trophy that he missed. But that takes away, if you just make it expected and the norm, it takes away from what those guys did. So I don't hold anything against Zambrotta, and as a player, I always loved him, and I'll leave it at that.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Al. And a lot of the players that did in 06, some of them didn't even really have that option because, Juve had to pay for lawyers and stuff. So it was like a fire sale. Some of them just up and left, But in terms of Zambrotta, I loved him as a player. He could play on the left, he could play on the right, he could play up high on the wing, he could be a fullback. Any part of the flanks.
And then to go against everything I've said, Michael Razzo, he left. So fact.
Yeah, right. We know where Michael stands.
But you're right, Joe.
It's out of your control.
Insane.
He just had, and he was an athlete, dude. Like he just had the biggest gas tank I have ever seen, and he could go for days and not take a break.
I will say this: the most impressive thing, if anybody go on Google right now and Google Zambrotta full picture of him standing there and watch how bow-legged his legs are, and then you see how impressive it is that guy could do what he did with those legs. Shocking.
Yeah. Okay, so my opinion on the guy is I absolutely love him playing for Juve, and those of you who were there before the World Cup, the 2006 World Cup, he was talked about by most as the best fullback in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
And we had him, and then we got that knockout punch of Calciopoli. And while I agree with you, Al, and it's his career and need to make the most of it, I did feel he was the only one I kind of felt, betrayed by him. But I don't blame him for that. And, no social media, so we didn't know everything that went on backstage. It just at the time, just felt like the guy wanted to leave. And he left. I can't blame Ibrahimovic, Vieira, Cannavaro. All these guys were there for like 1 or 2 seasons. But him, I kind of feel sorry that after he left, after the World Cup, his career and his performances have dipped massively. He was nowhere near as good for Barcelona or Milan as he was for Juve prior to Calciopoli. So maybe it had an effect on him, but that was kind of the point that sealed his career. His best days were with Juve, and he couldn't replicate it anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to remind everybody, like the video, please. If you're new here, of course, subscribe to the channel, show some love to the channel. Now, Don P, wow, if this doesn't bring me back to reality, I don't know what will. You have said we should have enough to get the job done many times this year, Alberto.
He's keeping track.
When you're right, you're right. I have. Damn it. I tell you. I don't want to do it. And I will be doing a live watch along, everybody. So I will be calling the action for you. So make sure, in a few hours here, once the game kicks off, that you come back to the channel here and let me be your commentator. Okay. I always enjoy having all of you in the live chat. But I tell you, if I have to call anything but a victory against Spezia, I'm going to be pretty pissed off. I'm going to be very, very pissed off. Now, let's get to some Storm the Barn questions. We're going to kick it off with a little bit light. It seems like Luca Natale, who might be a little light in the loafers, some say. But what did Josef get his lady for Valentine's Day? Joe, what did you do for the lady?
I got
Not
her
that it's any of your damn business, Luca.
I know, right? Right, Luca?
Yeah, and right after he made a comment about her hair.
Yeah. Saw that one too, Luca. Nothing gets by us. Anyways, Joe, what did you do for the lady?
When he's here, we low on brain. When Joe's here, we low on hair. That's the main thing.
So I'm an old soul at heart. So I got her stereotypical, flowers, chocolates, and took her out to dinner.
Nice.
There we go.
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Well done, Joe. Okay. Because as I've stated for everybody, you have to make February 14th very, very special in order to enjoy March 14th. And if you don't know what March 14th is, fellas, Google it and you're welcome. Okay. Now let's get to the next one, which is Michael Orazzo here. What made you guys Juventini? I followed Juve because me and my nonno would watch all their games. I always love this question, especially when we bring new guests onto the show and everything. And I'm going to let you guys kick things off with, how you guys became Juventini. And Joe, why don't you start us off?
So it was 1996. I was 5 years old. I was with my family in Italy, and the Champions League final was on. And Juventus was the best team in the world. A bunch of my family are Juventini, and it was just a culmination of all those things put together. There was no, it was destiny. So
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's how it happened.
Beautiful. Omer.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me. I liked football, and no one watches football in my house. I mean, my family are all like Olympics and stuff. No one watches football, but our community around me really liked football, and I just used to watch games. They didn't know who I liked, and we give a lot of flack to fanboys and guys who like success, all the Barca fans and Real fans. But honestly, that was the case. I've watched Juve; they were the best team in the world, and when they won that final, I felt happy. And as a kid, what makes you feel happy? You keep doing it,
Yeah.
and there's no turning back. And if we add that question, I might say love for a football club is like the most romantic childhood sweetheart that you'll never change for anything. The odds you'd change your everything in your life are higher than you changing a football team. So no
Yeah.
matter what happens to you now, in the future, or happened in the past, we will always be there. I mean, I was a fan since I was 6 years old, and I will continue to be a fan until I'm 106. Because of that specific final that paved my football life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
Amen.
beautiful. For me, everybody knows it's my dad. It was my dad. Over here, it was tough to get the games. He did whatever it took, man. I remember those monster friggin' satellite dishes sitting on your rooftop, and it'd be like 1:30 sometimes to between like 1:30 and 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden you just like the house, it would rattle the house almost. It'd be like and like switching as he's going all over the place trying to find stations that would be covering the Juve game. This is way back in the day. And obviously things are so much easier now, which he loves. But over here in Canada, during when the early 90s and stuff, very, very difficult to get all the games covered and find them. But he did whatever it took all the time. And early morning hours, just screaming, okay, like shouting at the television. I decide to walk out one day and like, what's going on? And then Roberto Baggio kind of just set it off for me. And so it's, early morning, waking up, seeing what the hell dad's yelling at. And then Roberto Baggio absolutely captivating me. And then it became Alessandro Del Piero, who I had the fortune of being able to watch his entire career, which is wild. And there was some rocky times in there too. And I can't help but wonder if social media was around when Del Piero had certain struggles, especially after the injury, coming back and people doubting him, and it coming down to the question of, do you let Zidane go or do you let Del Piero go? And it was pretty wild times. But in 97, 98, that guy was right there for Ballon d'Or for me. Alessandro Del Piero, incredible. Insane. That knee injury. If that knee injury didn't happen, I actually said, like, for me, he was incredible. And the fact that he was still incredible after, it took a while for him to get back to, but he adapted his game completely. But before knee injury, Del Piero was something else, man. Crazy. But for me, that's what it was, really. Checking out what my dad was doing, and then absolutely losing it. And then when we won the Champions League, seeing the emotion out of my dad was like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. All these memories and stuff too. And, thinking back, like the hard times, even with Del Piero, and seeing some of those wicked squads that didn't actually win. And, now you think to this time and this team and everything. And sometimes we just need that little bit of patience. And based on our last episode, I actually had some messages come in through WhatsApp, and one guy, I'm not gonna name him or anything, but he woke up and he sent me this message. He said, "Good morning. I watch your guys' show, and you painted a picture of some of these other teams that have gone through 8 coaches trying to get it right and everything, and players have been a revolving door and everything, and it's just like." He's like, "You know what? We just need to be patient." And it is what it is. I mean, we've had it worse, not to say that this is good, but we have had it worse. And it just makes the victories that much sweeter. Okay. And you know what? If there's one thing we can all bank on, is that Juve's never, ever going to die. All right. If anything, and it's been proven, we come back stronger. And I tell you, everybody, we ride this out. We ride it out together. And when those victories come, it's going to be very, very sweet, especially to stick it to all the rivals who, by the way, we could be stuttering for probably 2 decades and they still wouldn't catch us. All right. They still won't catch us. That's how dominant and how incredible Juve is. Now, Jeremiah, should we be dropping our standards and expectations just because Juve is going through a bad period? Personally, I'm never going to drop mine. This is an interesting question to kind of keep things going. For me, I won't drop my standards for the effort and work rate out of the players. And that's why I get infuriated by a guy like Paredes, because I don't see that willingness and that sacrifice in him. And I don't care who the player is and what the name is on the back of the kit. That is my bare minimum. And that's what I have for standards and expectations. Outside of that, performances, bad passes, that shit's going to happen. It's football. But the bare minimum I expect from everybody is that work rate and effort. Guys, what are your standards and expectations that you are unwilling to sacrifice for Juve?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. Like you should be able to enjoy watching your team play without having always titles in mind. I mean, that's the situation for most of the teams in the world and fans. So I just try to enjoy the games, and like you said, it's the expectations of just the way they approach the games. Because you mentioned those big teams from the '90s that Juve had. I mean, it's not like all the players in the roster were considered the best in the world in their position, but as a collective unit who never gave up, always fought, and everyone fighting for each other on the field. That's what I'm kind of missing today and hoping to see more and more. Doesn't matter. I can finish second place and finish without the Scudetto, but I want to be proud of the team that's taking the field and trying to win it as best as they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, echoing what both of you guys are saying, I want to see blood on the field. You know what I mean? I want to see blood, sweat, and tears on that field. So long as they give it all, that's the bar that I want set. You can't expect to win every game. And I mean, I'm even going to quote Allegri here. He even said, he's like, winning is unusual. So you can't expect to win every game. All right. You want to win every game. That's the goal, but it's not a realistic one to have. Even if you are Juventus, that is what you want. But for me, so long as I see some kind of effort, I'm good. Yeah, I'm just happy watching the team.
You can't blame someone who did his best and gave it his all. Even if he lost, he couldn't have given more. So if we see that, I'm fine.
Yeah. I agree with everything you guys said. We got a couple more. I actually have one that I'm going to ask to you guys and the live chat, but we're going to get to Sweareats first. Will our 15 points be reinstated? You were optimistic in last pod, Al and Anthony as well. Yeah, I'm actually pretty confident we are going to get the first 15 points back.
I'm super confident, and I get confident as each day goes by, because you see those guys around Italy suddenly starting to talk about it and how harsh was the penalty, and they didn't think about it and the ramifications it could have on the league. And suddenly Gravina, who's always talking against Juve, and suddenly the Minister of Sport and the CEO of Serie A, they're all making the same noises. That
Yeah.
was harsh. We should consider it. Maybe even start making excuses for why they made the initial decision. So it kind of feels like it's going to be better. Like they're
Yeah.
understanding what they've done.
I'm pretty confident we get those back. So, yes, the words, I was going to bring up the words from Gravina, and even Gravina before that, when he spoke about, he said like their registration was not in question, even based on the financial case that's set to come out. So I don't fear it being too bad. I think they're going to just push and push at points and fines and stuff. But the financial one has always been the one for me that is going to be the most crucial.
You mean the Prisma investigation?
The
salary maneuver.
The salary one. Yeah. The salary one's going to be the one that's big for you.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, Al, that is financial, not sporting. Financial. So we need to keep that in mind. It's Italy. Anything can happen, but we need to keep that in mind.
It'll be
that kind of always there. Like it's Italy. What logic says and what could happen is two very
two totally different things.
This next one, if Juve win Europa League, will anyone get a Juve tattoo? Well, does anybody here have a Juve tattoo?
No, and that kind of always felt to me a bit over the top. Like even if I got one, it would be something small, but definitely not for a Europa League win.
Yeah, definitely like the video and follow the channel. Probably the only good thing Luca said all day. Let's get to tattoos. Okay, so for me with Juve and tattoos, I will be getting a Juve tattoo, but I don't want it to be the logo of old or new. Like I don't want it to be the logo. I want it to be something that Juventini know. And only Juventini know, right? I don't want someone to recognize like a logo and be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. I want it to be like somewhat low key. And then I will get one. But I'm definitely going to get a Juve tattoo. Now, having said that, there are some tattoos out there that are absolutely phenomenal. There is one I've seen of a guy that it's as if his skin is ripping apart and the jersey is underneath his skin, and it kind of comes up the shoulder and then just the chest. It looks pretty badass, I must say. Not something I would personally do, but there are some cool ones, even incorporating, logos and stuff like that. But whatever, tattoos, everybody's thing. But
it has to be something that can change, that will always be there, like something that's just all time. You can tattoo Dybala and then he moves to Roma because they couldn't agree on a deal, and then you're stuck with the Roma player on your sleeve for forever.
Yeah. Can we share Juve tattoos on the AJC platform soon? Whatever, man. We've got Instagram.
Whatever.
We've got whatever. You tag us and everything. We'll share it. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to pose a question here, and I'm just going to see if my old ass mind can remember it. I had like a good one, but hold on a sec. Let's get Michael Razzo's. I'm old. I need some time. Has anyone used the new Chiesa Europa card on FIFA? I haven't got it. I got the Fagioli card, though, and I just picked up Rovella last night that I was sleeping on. Didn't realize there was a Rovella Objectives that starts at 82, and he gets upgraded to 88. Hello. Pretty soon my midfield is going to be the 93 Pirlo, and then Fagioli on one side, Rovella on the other. Let's go. And if you think that after we drew Nantes, I went on FIFA and mercied a bunch of kids, you're 100% right, because I was pissed. But the Fagioli card's actually pretty fun to use. You just got to get the mix right on what you boost them with, okay? But let's see, 15 points. There's another question coming in here. Where was it? Here we go. Do you guys believe Juve will make it to top 4 without returning the 15 points? I believe they will make it coming in. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? and where Juve could finish, what do you think we could do? Let's say without the points coming back, where do you think we could get?
I think that should be our state of mind for now. We can't always talk about what will be if and buts and all of that. The situation right now is that Juve are in ninth place. I think 10 points off Lazio, and that's what we should be aiming for. We can get it. Lazio are dropping points, like they're never consistent. But like we always say, it's always depending on Juve, and we're our own worst enemy. We need to win those games, and we can do it. It's still hard to see it with a 10-point gap, but it's achievable.
Like right now, a win pulls us to 7th.
Yeah, but Lazio are supposed to play today, right? Or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lazio's in 6th spot, obviously a game. But I mean, like we're 10th right now, but a win takes us to 7th, and then even let's say they win, okay. Yeah, you got 10 points on Lazio to get 6th, 41 points on Roma Atalanta. I mean, you could get into 4th technically, even without those 15 returning.
I think it's just that's asking for a lot to also go our
big
way.
time.
A
Big
lot.
time.
So the likelihood is slim.
Yeah.
I'm saying I think that if we don't get those 15 points back, which I'm confident on, I think that we can at least we could get to where Lazio is now.
And Lazio are nil right now at halftime with Salernitana.
Yeah,
so
and we still have to play all the big guns. Like we still have Napoli, Inter, Milan, Lazio, Roma, Atalanta.
It could technically be doable even without, but the 15 points will come back. It'll be a big boost, and we'll move forward. I'm telling you, 15 points come back, everybody. My question, okay? Sorry you had to wait, everybody. I'm getting old. And now, lesson to learn. Ask the question when you got it first, okay? So there we go. If you could handpick one player off any team, whatever, right now that you think would be able to help Juve and be that game breaker for them right now, who would you handpick and bring onto this team right now at this moment in time, knowing everything we know? Let's say injuries are the same for Juve, like current guys we have right now. Who's the one guy you would pick off any other team and say, come into the squad right now?
That's a good question. Joe, you can go first.
So we're talking any
player off any roster right now you can handpick and say, come onto the squad right now. Rassel goes Pep. Oh, Apex going definitely a CB. I don't actually think I would go CB, to be honest. I'm between fullback and somebody in the mid, to be honest. And
that's where I'm torn
towards the midfield.
We need like an attacking midfielder. You know, someone who can read between the lines and pass. You know, that's what I think. The fullback thing goes without saying, but I think
Mbappe is a show. This is mine.
That would be a good one.
Hit mine, and it's Kevin De Bruyne. For me, it would be De Bruyne.
One of those guys.
He would control everything, man. Everything. Guys like Vlahovic, Chiesa, like I'd probably go De Bruyne. Mbappe is great show, but like, who would you guys hand pick?
Those are great picks.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of someone similar.
Oh yeah, speaking to my Canadian heart, brother. Speaking to my Canadian heart. Saka
I'm trying
from
to think
Arsenal.
of someone similar like that. Saka from Arsenal, that's interesting. Just an attacking midfielder. That is, I can't think of like a specific guy off the top of my head, but someone who can read between the lines like a De Bruyne, you know, maybe like even a Bernardo Silva or somebody like that.
Alex P saying Griezmann.
I'm going to go a different route here. Like, can I go off-road a bit? I would absolutely put everything I can to get Antonio Pintos into Juve and settle once and for all our injury issues that have been going on forever now. That's the guy we're missing, and that's our biggest enemy. And right now we're missing important players. Like earlier in the season, it felt like we were missing not too many key guys. Now we do. If I have to go with a player, it will either be Joshua Kimmich from Bayern, or Martin Odegaard from Arsenal. Just guys who have character, mentality, and bring a different element to the team that we are lacking.
Nice. Nice. Interesting. Good stuff, everybody. Good stuff, everybody. Well, we're going to wrap things up there. Like to just finish it up on a fun one. The questions everybody had were great for Storm the Barn. You guys, please like the video, okay? On your way out after the recording ends, if you drop a comment, that also helps the channel. But do not forget, in a couple hours, okay, an hour and 50 minutes to be exact, I'm going to be bringing you the live watch along for Spezia Juve. So please find your way back to the channel, go relax for an hour and a half or so, and then make your way back, and let's take in the action together and share those live reactions. We have our predictions in. Joey Cap going 2-0 for Juve, Omer going 3-0, and myself going 2-0. We're going to get back at it tomorrow morning, same time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and we are going to be doing the post-match podcast, and hopefully we can all celebrate a victory together. Tomorrow is also family day here, so I'll be off work and then going to be enjoying the day with my family. Good stuff. It was my daughter's 4th birthday yesterday as well.
Oh,
so I'm going to say happy birthday
Tante,
to Lennon again. I love you, and she loves all the characters on our show as well. So she's going to appreciate the birthday messages, Omar and Joe. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for the kind words. There you go. And Apex, I'll see you there. All right. Ciao tutti. Take care. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve. See you in a couple hours, and hopefully we can beat the piss out of Spezia. Ciao.